Hello, everyone. This is Gabby from English Staples. Welcome to my channel. In today's lesson, we are going to focus on looking at some facts about cardinal numbers, exploring the different ways to say some numbers, learning how to say numbers that sound alike, counting from 0 to 1,000, separating digits with the use of a place value chart, and completing 4 practice exercises at the end of the lesson. Some facts about cardinal numbers. Cardinal numbers are basically used for counting. They are used to answer the question, how many? Because they indicate quantity. In practice, cardinal numbers are used to answer other how questions. For example, how many apples did you pick? The response, I picked 12 and ate 2. How much sugar do you need? I need 2 cups. How often does she travel? 4 times a year. How long was the trip to Beijing? It took us 20 hours. If you notice here, it says cardinal numbers, right, are used to answer other how questions. So you can see here we have how many, how much, how often, how long. So these are all how questions. The responses show numbers. See? In a little bit, we'll talk about why some numbers are numeral and some numbers are written out in words. We'll talk about that shortly. So we have here 12, 2, 2, 4, 20. These are all cardinal numbers. In formal contexts, numbers from 1 to 100 are written out in words and larger numbers in numerals. We talk about numerals, we mean numbers. Examples, the correct form for the formal context: 99 students attended the lecture. We said earlier that the numbers from 1 to 100 are written out in words. Larger numbers are in numerals, in numbers. So this is more than 100. That's the reason why it's written this way. And here, 99 is written out this way because it's less than 100. So 1 to 100 are written in words. And we can see that here. And larger in numerals, so we can see that here. Some traditional and academic styles still use this formal format. However, in modern writing, this is rarely applied so strictly. Why? Spelling out numbers can interrupt flow of readability. Numerals are more compact and easier to read quickly. In less formal contexts, numbers from 1 to 9. So we're talking about numbers from 1 to 9 are written out in words, right? In words. And larger numbers in numerals. Example, there are 9 students in class today. So because we said from 1 to 9 are written out in words, the word 9 is written out. There are 15 students in class today. So larger, so 10 to whatever, you use numerals. So that's why we have 15, because it's greater than 10. Most teachers, publications, and editors follow this format. The important thing here is to choose a format and be consistent throughout that piece of writing. So if you're writing a paper or a letter, whatever it may be, if you choose to use the formal format, use that formal format throughout that document. Or if you decide to use the less formal, use the less formal format throughout the document. Numerals are more compact and easier to read quickly, especially when dealing with data or technical content. Cardinal numbers can be used as nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. So let's look at some examples. As nouns, the party started at 6. So here, there's going to be a party. I guess this lady is having a party. It's her birthday. She's having a party. The party started at 6. So here, 6 is a noun. As a pronoun, 6 showed up for the party, meaning 6 people showed up for the party. Instead of saying people, you use the word 6. So it's a pronoun. We're using the word 6 instead of the noun people. As adjectives, they ate 6 pepperoni pizzas. They ate 6 pepperoni pizzas. 6 pizzas. So it's an adjective. Let's look at some different ways to say some numbers. We start with the number 0. So this number is called 0 or O or not or nil. Let's look at some examples how they're used. We sold 0 pieces of clothing today. As you can see, this lady in her clothing store, she's not very busy, so she's taking a nap. She sold 0 pieces of clothing today. Well, if she's taking a nap and somebody walked in, they probably would just, okay, I guess she doesn't need her business. Let's go. 0 pieces of clothing is understandable. His cell number is 305 080 0020. When we're saying phone numbers, we usually say O. I mean, you can say 0. It's just more syllables to say. 305 080 0020. So usually we'd say 0 or O for phone numbers. On a scale of 0 to 10, how was my spelling? So if you're going to use the word not, it's usually in situations like this. On a scale of 0 to 10, how well did I do? Or how badly did I do? It was a 0-all score at the end of the game yesterday. It was a 0-all, meaning both teams score 0. Both teams. Here's another number, 100 or 100. Example, they bought 100 servings of jerk chicken. So this is the yummy jerk chicken. This is a very popular Jamaican dish. Jerk chicken. It's very delicious. It's a kind of barbecue, you could say, but the secret is in the seasoning. So you can say 100 pieces, or you can say they bought 100 servings of jerk chicken. This word bought is the past tense of the base verb buy. So buy, bought. It is an irregular verb. It's a verb, bought. Then this number, 1000 or 1000. The choir has 1000 singers. Or we can say the choir has 1,000 singers. What's a choir? Choir is a group of singers. A group of singers. And a popular place where you can find a choir is like in a church. You have a choir. Here you have someone in a choir. They have a book with words and music, and they're all singing. It's a happy place. This number, 101, or 101, or 101. So here, they drop the and. The and is gone. Or 101, or 101. 101. So example of how these are used. The car dealership sold 101 new cars. 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 The car dealership sold 101 cars. So 5 different ways you can say this one number. They're all acceptable. So here, this is the parking lot of the car dealership. Car dealership is an agency where they sell cars. This number, 120, or 120, or 120, or 120, or 120. The city plans to plant 120 saplings. 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 What are saplings? Saplings are young trees. So having young trees is good for the environment. Here they are, young trees. This number, 958, 958, or 958. You drop the and is dropped. No and here. Or 958. So 3 ways for this number. Example, 958 workers were laid off. 958 workers were laid off. 958 workers were laid off. A very popular reason why some companies lay workers off is because they are going through some kind of financial issues and they might not have enough money to pay all the bills and pay all the workers. So they would send people home, oh, I'm sorry, we have to, lay you off. If things improve, then we will reach out to you and, get you to come back to work. Many times that doesn't happen. So that is laying off. Usually it's because of some economic reason or financial reason, some kind of problems that the company might be having. On the other hand, when they fire someone, it's different. If you get fired, usually it's because of your conduct. Things that you do at work are not acceptable to management. And usually before you're fired, they give you a warning. That's what they call a write-up, right? Your supervisor would tell you what it is that you're doing that is not acceptable in the company. This number, 1001. How we say this? 1001 or 1001 or 1001 or 1001. Let's see, look at some examples. Didn't we export 1001 bags of coffee? 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 The word export is when you send, like if you send, in this context, send coffee maybe in container loads. Export is to send goods to another country. What else can we export? We could export files. We can export files. 7498, 7,498, or 7,498. So we drop the and is dropped. 7,498. So how do we use it in a sentence? Let's see. There are 7,498 samples. So we have some samples here of medicine. We have some samples of some kind of precious stones, it looks like. And we have samples here of tangerines, fruits. So there are 7,498 samples. There are 7,498 samples. There are 7,498 samples. Let's look at some close sounds of numbers and can be confusing to understand, especially if you're on the phone. At least face to face, you can see people's mouths, so you can figure out what they're trying to say. But on the phone, it's usually a little bit more difficult to understand what's being said. For example, 13:30. Your voice goes up at the end on the teen, and your voice goes down at the end on the T. So it looks like this. 13 and then 30. So it's like 13, your voice goes up, and then 30, your voice comes down. Here we have 14, 40, 15, 50, 16, 60, 17, 70, 18, 80, 19, 90. Let's do some counting. You can always come back to this part of the video to review your numbers. If you are a beginner and you don't know the numbers, this is a good place for you to come back. You can see what the numbers look like as a number, and you also see how it's spelled, right? So you can always come back and review here until you are comfortable with the numbers. So let's start. This is 0 or O. 0, or some people say O, especially when they're saying phone numbers. Please repeat after me. Say the numbers after me. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 999, 1000. In English, commas are used to separate the digits in a number if the number has 4 digits or more. For example, the number 1602 has 4 digits, which are broken down as 1000, 600s, 010s, and 2 units. We'll look at this breakdown a little bit later. To separate any number, start counting from the right to the left. So that's the direction that you go, from the right to the left. Right, so you count this way. A comma is placed after the first 3 digits, another comma after the next 3 digits, and so on. Hence, 1602 would now read like this. From here to here to here, that's 3. Then you put a comma and then the 1000. 1602. Commas are necessary to help the reader understand and say numbers correctly. They are used mostly in numbers that specify quantities like weights, measurements, number of people, currencies. When we talk about weight, is how much something weighs, how many grams or how many pounds. Measurements is the dimensions, how many inches or feet or centimeters. And here we have number of people. Currency is money. So let's look at this example here. According to Siri, the Titanic weighed 52,310 tons and measured 883 feet long by 93 feet wide. It is said that around 1,500 people died when the Titanic sank April 14th, 1912. It cost around $7,500,000 back in 1912. So as we can see here with this number, it's the weight of the ship, the Titanic, right? The famous Titanic ship. The weight of it was 52,310 tons. So we start counting from the right. 1, 2, 3. Then we put a comma. Then we have two more numbers there. In a little bit, I'll show you a table that you can use if you're not familiar with how numbers are, how you put the commas in for numbers. I'm going to show you a table that you could make a copy of and use it to help you to put the separators in the correct place until you're very familiar with it. Okay. So here we see this was more than 4 digits, this number. This number is 4 digits, so we see the comma there. Now, if you notice here, there is no comma. There's no comma because this is a year. We don't put commas in years. There is a comma here in the date to separate the date away from the year, right? So you put a comma between them. Commas are not usually used in serial numbers, document numbers, telephone numbers, lottery numbers, vehicle identification numbers. We don't see commas in these numbers. However, we can find hyphens or spaces. So let's look at some examples here. The dishwasher has the serial number BM123456W. So serial numbers are important. This is why it's so important that you learn your alphabet and your numbers, because you have to be able to communicate this with your service companies. The old man confirmed his passport number is 211-958-1600 or 00. My lottery ticket number is 0508404568. Here we did say hyphens or spaces are usually used between some numbers. Hyphens or spaces. So here we definitely see spaces between these numbers. So for lottery tickets, they have spaces between the numbers. Here, if I win, please call me at 1, open parentheses, 234, close parentheses. This is the area code of the phone number, 567, and this part is called the exchange number, 8910 or 10. So here we have a hyphen. We have a hyphen. Just like here, the word hyphen, We have a hyphen here. So you find hyphen in phone numbers. Sometimes people actually write phone numbers like this: one, and then they have a hyphen, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, one, oh. Sometimes people write phone numbers like this with hyphens, or another word for hyphen is dash, dash, right? Dash, or plural, dashes. So here we have dashes or hyphens. The DMV, which is the Department of Motor Vehicle, claims the VIN number 1HGBJ41JXMN109186 that the customer provided does not match their records. Of course, it's a fictitious number. None of these numbers are real. They're all made up, but they're just in the same format that they normally are. So imagine you're in a country where the native language is English and you're speaking to a service person, whether it's at the Department of Motor Vehicle or store where you bought your appliance, or you're talking to the passport office, whomever. You're talking to your lawyer maybe, or your bank, and you don't know your numbers. It's not a good thing. It's important, because look at all this. This is not only numbers, but also letters. So you have to make sure that you know your letters too. It's important. This is a place value chart. We have four numbers here: 8, 20, 735, and 1946. We're going to put these numbers on this chart. On this side, we have the thousands, and on this side, we have the units. Here, we have the number 8, 20, 735, 1946. We're going to place these numbers on this place value chart. So on this side, we have thousands. On this side, we have units. And here in the middle, we have the separator or the comma, right? And it says here, thousands. So you usually put the comma at the mark of where you have the thousands. Okay. So let's do the number 8. Where would we put the 8? The 8 goes under units. That's where the 8 goes. The 20, where would we put the 20? Would have the 0 first and then the 2. Because as you can see here, 2 tens make 20. That's how that is. The third number would be this. We start at the right, and then we go here, and then we go here. So the first number is 5 units, so it comes here. The second number is 3 under the tens, right? 3 tens, that's 30, and 5, 35. That's how that works. And then this third number, 7, would come here under the hundreds. That's why it's 700. We never say 700s. We don't use the S's when we sing out a number. We just say 735. 35. 3 tens is 30 and 5. 735. Okay. Last number, this number. We start with the right, then we go here, then we go here, then we go here. Now we have 4 numbers here. So that tells us we are after the first three numbers, we need a comma. Let's see how that works. We have 6, then we have 4, then we have 9, and then we have 1. The only space is here. That means we cross over. What is happening here? We cross over the thousands. So we're going to have comma. So that number would actually look like this. 1, comma, 9, 4, 6. That's what the number actually looks like. So it's 1,946. Okay, let's do our first practice exercise. Practice exercise 1, these numbers. So I'm underlining in purple. I want you to chart these numbers. You can pause the video, chart the numbers, and then when you're finished, you can turn the video back on to see how I had them charted. Okay, I take it you have completed charting those numbers. What you should have is, so pause the video here again and write the last number, 2,481. How would you correctly write that number with the dollar sign? Did you get it right? Practice exercise number 2. I would like you to chart this, 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 and this. After you finish charting, put the number on the side so I can see where you have your commas. Right? When you're finished, come back and check your answers. How did you do? Hope you did well. Practice exercise 3. Pause the video here. And the numbers that I have underlined with in purple, chart those numbers. And then when you're finished, come back and check to see what I have. How did you do? This is our last exercise, exercise 4. It's a dictation. Write the 20 numbers you hear. I'll say each number twice. You have 5 seconds to complete your answer after I repeat each number. Pause the video if you need more time. Use commas when necessary. So let's get started. The first number, 8. 8. 11. 11. 203. 203. 15. 15. 149. 149. 60. 60. 40. 40, 16, 16, 50, 50, 653, 653, 14, 14, 10,400, 10,400, 20, 20, 6, 6, 1,249, 1,249, 6,025, 6,025, 44,444, 44,444, 37,183, 37,183, 650,212, 650,212, 999,999, 999,999. Did you get them right?